Clapperboard the 30-year wait. At exactly 7:12 every morning, Emma Clark stood at the same spot on platform 3. Not early. Not late. Always exactly 7:12. The regulars noticed her. Of course they did. London commuters notice everything, they just pretend they don't. She wore different coats depending on the weather, but everything else about her stayed the same. Same posture. Same distant gaze down the tracks. Same untouched coffee slowly cooling in her hand. Emma was 30. Not old. Not young. Just at that strange point where life starts asking questions you can't ignore anymore. 3 years ago, Emma had a life that made sense. A flat in Clapham. A steady job in publishing. And Daniel. Daniel, who always ran late. Daniel, who laughed too loudly on quiet trains. Daniel, who once told her, "If we ever get lost in life, meet me at platform 3. Same time. Every day." It was a joke. At least, she thought it was. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Daniel didn't show up. Not at the cafe. Not at work. Not anywhere. First, she was annoyed. Then worried. Then terrified. By evening, the police were involved. By the next morning, Daniel was just gone. No explanation. No goodbye. No trace. People told her to move on. And eventually, she did. At least on the outside. But something about that joke, that stupid throwaway line, stayed with her. So one morning, without telling anyone, Emma went to platform 3 at 7:12. Just to prove to herself it was ridiculous. He wasn't there. Of course he wasn't. But she came back the next day. And the next. And somehow days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Months into years. Most people ignored her. Except one. A man in his late 30s. Always carrying a worn leather briefcase. Always boarding the 7:18 train. He never spoke to her. But he noticed. Not in a creepy way, just quietly. He noticed when she cut her hair. When she stopped wearing bright colors. When her coffee went untouched. And most of all, he noticed that she never stopped looking down the tracks. On her 30th birthday, it rained harder than usual. London rain, the kind that soaks through coats and into your bones. Emma stood there, shivering. 7:12. Nothing. 7:13. Nothing. 7:14. And for the first time in 3 years, she looked away. "Who are you waiting for?" The voice startled her. It was him. The man with the briefcase. She hesitated. Then quietly, "Someone who isn't coming." He nodded. Not in sympathy. Not in pity. Just understanding. Then he said something unexpected. "Then why are you still here?" Emma didn't have an answer. Not a real one. The train pulled in. Doors opened. People rushed in like always. For 3 years, Emma had stood still. Watching. Waiting. Not living. The man stepped onto the train, then turned back. Held the door open. Not forcing. Not asking. Just offering. For a moment, the entire world felt suspended. 3 years of memories. 3 years of silence. 3 years of waiting. Balanced on one decision. Say, or step forward. Emma took a breath. Looked down the empty tracks one last time. And then, she stepped onto the train. The doors closed. Platform 3 was empty again. 'Cause sometimes, closure doesn't come from answers. Comes from choosing to leave the question behind.